The Shark Deck.
I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news from Late Bot. Some jokes about me trying to open my pool. And yeah, I had to cancel my pool party over the weekend because my pool was so green, it looked like the Swamp Thing had taken up residence in there. It was so green, I felt like I was swimming in a giant margarita. My pool is so green, I'm starting to think it's a secret hideout for Ninja Turtles. I asked my pool guy what was wrong with the pool, and he said, you know that saying, the grass is always greener on the other side? Well, in your case, it's the pool. I don't need to buy a green screen for my videos. I can just use my pool. Jimmy Kimmel, he's not telling any late night jokes because of the writer's strike, but he's doing a fundraiser for Project ALS. This will be May 26th. I'll be at Taylor Swift. Humble brag. Yeah. The May 26th show, not the Taylor Swift concert. That one's in New Jersey. The Kimmel show will be in Las Vegas at Jimmy Kimmel's Comedy Club. Sarah Silverman, Jeff Ross, and Nick Kroll have already been announced. They also promise special surprise guests. Kimmel said, my first charitable memories of Las Vegas were the Jerry Lewis telethon. That made a big impact on me because my dad loved the telethon. Dude, mine too. My dad worked nights, so he'd get home, in the middle of the night and want to watch TV. But this was back in the day when TV would sign off at like midnight, 1 a.m. Remember, National Anthem would come on, then the test bars, and sometimes it would go straight to static. Are you old enough to remember what I'm talking about? Yeah. So he loved the telethon, if for no other reason. It was on all night. It was something to actually watch. Kimmel said he would watch the telethon in its entirety, and he'd even go see it live. I got really fascinated by the final years of that telethon. So it was one thing in the 70s, maybe early 80s, when Jerry Lewis could call in favors and you'd have actually Frank Sinatra. But by the end, it was comedians that really weren't that good. I did see Ralphie May on that telethon. Ralphie was great. I miss Ralphie. He was such a good comedian. And I got to hang out with him a handful of times. Really, really, really good person. Somewhere in the feed, if you want to look for Ralphie May stories, I just talked about Ralphie for a full episode about a year ago, if you want to check that out. Kimmel said about Las Vegas, there's so many other things to talk about when it comes to Las Vegas. People don't think about the fact that we have hospitals and churches and people who actually care about the community. Dave Chappelle cares about his community. One of his reps told Bloomberg, with the decline of Antioch College several years ago, Yellow Springs lost its cultural anchor. Speaking on behalf of Chappelle, my interest has always been in restoring the cultural and creative economy Antioch helped to foster, and which made Yellow Springs a haven for art, music, culture, and academia. Dave continues to go back and forth with the town council for his development ideas. Jim Gaffigan tells the New York Times about blue pens. He said, I like the Staples OptiFlow. What's amazing about that pen is they work great, then they eventually explode in your hand. I use it for editing. I don't know how people can write with a black pen. If you printed out something and you put black notes on it, you're going to miss them. It has to be blue. The headline from the Daily Beast, Brad Garrett saying, I can't believe I'm having sex with Pete Davidson. Yeah, that'll get your attention. Spoilers for Bupkis. See, in one of the plots, Pete Davidson finds out that his grandfather, played by Joe Pesci, is dying of cancer, so he plans out a boys' night to cheer Joe up. In Pete's mind, that translates to book a fancy hotel room and hire a lady. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink, say no more, for his grandpa to have a good time. Nudge, nudge, know what I mean? Grandpa figures out Pete's plan immediately, and the second the lady arrives, he calls it off. I don't want to totally spoil the plot, but Brad Garrett's character gets involved, and Pete Davidson has to help him with hip movements. Use your imagination, okay? Moving on. Garrett said, I was able to read a couple of the scripts beforehand. It was so autobiographical. Of course, there are heightened theatrical scenes, but Pete Davidson was just swinging so wide, even in the comedy. But when I saw we were able to see the struggles that he really goes through on a daily basis, I thought, wow, this is really very unique, very original, rides that line without sounding cliche of the comedy and the tragedy he's still dealing with. I think you could see by the people that jumped on the show to join him the support he has in the entertainment community and how he's really admired for being very open about the stuff that a lot of us struggle with. I'm a recovering alcoholic in his past 26 years of sobriety, so I really admire him. I think it's so important that we see people that we care about who are in entertainment or any part of life that can be open about their struggles, which is ongoing for all of us. We all have certain degrees of suffering, depression, trauma, and addiction to varying degrees, just part of the human makeup, and he's really one of the first to tackle this not only in a public forum, but in a creative forum. Louis Black spoke to Laugh Button about the struggle of filming a comedy special May 15th of last year, not yesterday, last year, and it only coming out recently. And he said, yeah, it took longer to get it up and we had to wait. Meanwhile, all the streaming services were in chaos and still are. It ended up taking us a long time to get it out there, but it's certainly no different. I would have liked it to come out sooner because it would have just worked better, but I think it works fine. There's a sense of which people feel like they're over this, meaning the pandemic. They could tell me all they want the way things are in the country at this point in time. You don't know. People are over this, and people are still mentally wobbly, and there's still a residue of anger about everything because they were locked up. You got a whole group of people who want to ban books. Meanwhile, their kids can't read anymore. What's the matter with you? And he explains, what happens is you do the special, then 2 weeks later you go, oh, I should have said this instead. You start to drop things that were in the special when you do your act, but then there's things in the special you hold on to. I started doing the bit about the audience and the shut the F up opening, and I'm holding on to it. That'll go away in time, but 2 weeks after I'm done with the special and you're in the middle of doing something you've done before, you go, oh, I left out all this that could have been said. That would have been great. And you could do that and never do a special, but you just get up and get it out there and move on. This special was about telling the story of myself and the pandemic, of what I was witnessing. There was no way to put other stuff in it. As a matter of fact, things that weren't put in it are now going to be in the next special. It's funny because people used to say, oh, you're doing all the political stuff. It's not evergreen. You can't put it on again and again and again. It's like, well, it is evergreen because stupidity is evergreen. Brett Goldstein, he's out touring his stand-up comedy. It's a one-man comedy show. He's at the Orpheum Theater in San Francisco tonight through Thursday. Meanwhile, Nick Mohammed plays Nick on Ted Lasso. He's also touring. He has an alter ego named Mr. Swallow, who's an off-kilter lifestyle guru. He's played the character for over a decade. Mohammed said, I can't wait to unleash Mr. Swallow on U.S. audiences. Frankly, the character's been a bit of a nightmare, so this one-off show could go one of three ways, two of which don't even bear thinking about. But in all seriousness, it'll be an absolute honor to play New York's wonderful Town Hall. I couldn't be more excited and terrified. June 2nd, New York City Town Hall, great venue. Comedian Russ Noble apparently used to own a tank. He used to drive it for fun and display it at military shows, but he got into it with his neighbor and pointed the gun turret at the guy's house. He said he's a property developer and he's a bit of a jerk. He was arguing over where the fence line was, so I just pointed the tank at his house, and my wife went, have you pointed the tank at his house? And I went, do you think that comes across as a bit passive-aggressive? And she said, it's not passive-aggressive. It's the most aggressive thing you can do. You've literally declared war on the guy. Noble says, this is the same guy who threatened to block the access road, and I pointed out to him that whenever he decides to block that road, I'll go over the top with it. Put what you like there, and I'll literally move it. There's a band in the UK, not really sure how you pronounce their name. I'm going to say Kuntz. Kuntz. It's Kuntz, right? Yeah, sure it is, John. Anyway, the Kuntz have racked up another top 10 hit, but didn't get any play on Radio 1. Apparently, Radio 1 thinks their name is a little naughty. That's why I'm saying Kuntz. Their anti-royal anthem called Scrap the Monarchy entered the top 40 at number 9. They actually changed the name of their band to try and get some airplay for Scrap the Monarchy. This time they went by the Crown Jewels, Crown with a K, Jewel with a Z at the end. The band has had a few top 10 singles in the past, one of which was called Boris Johnson is a... 2 nasty words in a row. I'll leave that alone. Another one called Boris Johnson is still a 2 nasty words in a row. And the third called F the Tories. The individual members of the band also changed their pseudonyms to be more respectable. Lead singer Kunt went by K Royal for this one. Guitarist Carsehole has become Windsor Castle. Bassist Rubber Johnny is now Regal Johnny. And drummer F Sticks is now Flag Sticks. They launched a single that said, Scrap the Monarchy contains no expletives, so unless having an opposing point of view is now outlawed, there's no reason it can't be covered in the mainstream press, played on the radio, and announced on BBC Radio 1.
Hi, my name is TJ, and I host a daily radio show. I have a bunch of friends that join me for it every day, and believe it or not, we all still see hope in humanity. Are you one of these people too? We want to hang out with you. Just search for The TJ Show on your favorite podcasting platform, or join us at thetjshow.com. We would love to have you being hopeful about humanity with us. Here's a quick sample of what the show sounds like. Hey, welcome to The TJ. As you can tell, you need to hear more of it. Search for The TJ Show, and we can't wait to meet you.
At the Dubai Comedy Festival today, Jimmy Carr. I love Jimmy. He's touring. He's playing Philadelphia-ish, I think, this fall, and that's as close as he's coming to where I live. I might have to go down there and see Jimmy. I really like seeing Jimmy. Hopefully he's at Montreal again. I could just do that. Yeah, John, that makes sense. Drive 7 hours to Montreal. Why would you drive an hour 45 to Philly when you could drive to Montreal? I don't know. Well, if I drive to Montreal, there's a comedy festival, plus it's Montreal. No offense, Philadelphia. Actually, Philadelphia is pretty cool. Did I ever tell you why I started running in the first place? Okay, quick story. So I'm 39 years old. I'm at flag football. and I've got chest pains. And I go, it's not going away. And I'm like, gotta be smart here. Heaven forbid this is something terrible. So I actually went to the ER, and when you're sitting there with electrodes strapped to your chest, it makes you reconsider things. I'm like, I have to get my act together, drop some weight, and I started running right after that. But the part of the story I didn't tell you, back to Philadelphia, is, I had been in Philly the day before and had, 3 cheesesteaks. It was just heartburn. But anyway, got me motivated, and now I've run many half marathons and 1 full marathon. Jimmy Carr in Dubai spoke to Time Out Dubai, and they asked him to describe Dubai in 1 word. And Jimmy said, 1 word? Well, Dubai. You just use the name. That's the whole point of names. What's your favorite place in Dubai? Jimmy said, I'm a bit of a foodie. I like eating well, and some of the best restaurants in the world have come to Dubai. It's fabulous. You were supposed to name specific places, Jimmy. He says, I say my audiences come and find me. Yeah, there are some people who drive 7 hours to Montreal, apparently. There are people who like edgy humor everywhere in the world, and when I go on tour, they come see the show, and that's fantastic. It does mean that I very rarely go to a place and think, they seem really uptight. There's something about an expat community as well. With people living away from home, there's more of a sense when they come out of them wanting to see something live because they want to feel part of a tribe. And there's a lot of British people living in Dubai. There are a lot of people from all over the world living in Dubai. So British people, Americans, Canadians, they come to see me. They feel like, these are their people. Time Out Dubai then followed that up with, what's the weirdest thing in your fridge? Okay, Jimmy said, I'd have to ask my chef. All right, what was the name of your childhood pet? Sooty, his first dog. Jimmy, if you could trade lives with someone, who would it be? Jimmy said, I would not trade lives. I've got a theory on jealousy. I think jealousy is a poisonous thing. Knowing what you want is a big, important part of life. Wanting someone else's life. I've got a holistic view of jealousy. Why would you want to swap lives with someone? You can't just have their career, their status, or whatever. You got to want to have the whole package. His show is 200 Dubai currencies. John, why don't you look it up? Because that's no fun. So whatever DHS 200 is, that's how much it'll cost you to see Jimmy Carr at the Dubai Opera tonight at 6 p.m. local Dubai time. The Boston Comedy Festival in gear. Todd Barry is there. Todd described as a master of dry wit who is as clever with written material as he is with crowd work. 25 to 35 US dollars at the City Winery. New Zealand Comedy Festival back after a day off. Kura Forrester show is called Here If You Need. Let's take a listen.
And for me now, I'm all just about unconditional love, positive vibes, and not getting myself into any petty drama. And on that note, I just want to say to all of you bitches at Petone Warehouse in the car park judging me when I walk in, I can see you. And I know it's just because you are jealous of my new positive aura. And when you call me a slut homewrecker of Craig and Allison's home, shout out. I know it is just because you are jealous of me and Craig's new kinship.
All right, I mean, kind of okay. A little slow there. And same thing, I'll keep pointing out, they're picking these clips, not me. So that's the clip that Kura chose to go with. Meanwhile, at Sydney, Mitchell Coombs has a show with a very naughty title, Water Off a Ducks. Can't even tell you what the last word is. This bit is called I Can't Stand Post-Porn Regret. I haven't listened to it yet, and why do I have a feeling I'm about to tell you that I couldn't play it? Let's see what happens, John.
There's this thing that country people do. Are there any regional folk in the house tonight? Because I'm a farm boy myself. I grew up in the bush, and there's this thing they do. When they walk up to your front door, instead of physically knocking, they just go, knock, knock. Knock, knock. Or maybe they're driving and they'll wind down the window and go, beep, beep. Like, just do the thing. Don't announce the thing. But guess what? That apple did not fall far from the tree because I do it too. You can take the boy out of the country, but you should have seen me when I first went to New York, went and saw Wicked on Broadway. Oh, standing ovation. I'm just there like, clap, 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 clap. Clap!
All right, at least it was clean. Kind of saw the joke coming, didn't you? Yeah. And that's your comedy news for today. Follow the show for free on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your shows. See you tomorrow. Who doesn't like vacations? Do you need some inspiration for your next road trip? Are you excited to get out there and explore the world again? Hi, I'm Johnny Mac. My podcast is called Travel is Back. Travel is Back is travel for regular people. We hop in the car, we fly coach, we use our miles, we eat at normal places, we stay at normal places. So what I do is I hop in the car, I grab my portable recorder, and I go somewhere. Season 3 kicks off with a road trip to Key West. You can check out the back catalog. There are popular episodes covering Chicago, Nashville, Vancouver, Seattle, a whole bunch more. Travel is Back, road trips for regular people. Follow the show on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your shows. These are quick, these are casual, and it's for regular people like you. Travel is Back.